My name is Mr. Law. It's easier to say Mr. Law because I'm a teacher and a lot of people in town know me as a teacher. I have loved food my whole life. I was a cook at a big guest ranch and I catered weddings, and it seems like any time I can nail the bread, the whole thing is a success. Bread brings people together. Bread is such a joyful thing on your tongue. I lived in Italy for a couple of years, and to buy a loaf of ciabatta bread and break it to pieces and dip it in your oil and vinegar, there's this artisan like romance in my mind. I melt when I get a good loaf of artisan style bread that I get to dip in oil and vinegar, just hot out of the hot oven. And I've used my Bread Baker's Apprentice cookbook for a long time and practiced how to get the crust just crackly and the inside just like feathery and soft, and it dissolves on your tongue. And so combining that with sourdough, it's made sense for a long time. It finally came together, but like people get excited about it, and I have passion for it. So there's a power in bread, and I feel the power, and I witness it in others. And it's something I'm not going to perfect. Sourdough is alive. Sourdough like reacts to you and counter reacts to you, and so whatever I do with sourdough, like it's this very active, attacking, creative process of trying to not outsmart it, but cooperate with it and persuade it to cooperate with me. So I would bake a loaf of sourdough 2 or 3 times a week, and my kids were totally allowed to eat as much of that as they wanted. You know, it's non-processed, it's very inexpensive. I have all the flour and wheat in my garage, and I would grind the wheat, you know, bake up the dough to show my kids how to do it. And I showed my kids how to use buckwheat, and they made gluten-free buckwheat cookies. We made ginger snap and Carolina key lime buckwheat cookies, which were really good, especially if it was a hot summer. They just tasted so good. So my kids and I did that as a fun project because we like to use our summers to be able to explore and to have fun. And that was our fun. My grandma always had sourdough when we were growing up. She always had this little crock that like had a block-on lid in the back of her fridge. But my grandma would make flapjacks and amazing biscuits, and she would always make these big, like not sourdough, she'd make these big fluffy loaves of Norwegian bread, and we'd break it up and put it in a jar with milk. And it's a living puzzle. It's the same reason I like to teach, the same reason I like to cook everything, but you're not going to conquer bread.